You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Welcome back. If you're following information security closely, you know things are, they're getting complicated out there. We're seeing a real shift. Attackers seem less focused on just mass emails. Now they're hitting these hidden leaks, things like vendor integrations, AI tools, even computer mice, believe it or not.
That's right. We've gone through a ton of intelligence recently, and the goal today is simple. Give you the actionable insights. Fast.
Oh, good.
We're focusing on supply chain failures, some really advanced social engineering, and even some pretty wild hardware stuff. The idea is you walk away knowing what really matters right now.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Starting with what feels like, the ultimate betrayal sometimes, when trusting vendors goes really wrong.
Oh, yeah. It's that cascading effect, isn't it? And some of the recent headlines are, honestly, they're alarming.
Absolutely. Take Sonic Wall. That situation is just, wow. A masterclass in how risk can multiply. First, they thought maybe, 5% of their cloud firewall backups were hit?
Right. That was the initial estimate.
But the actual number, it's 100%.
100%. Let's just sit with that a moment, because it's not just a data breach. It points to a huge failure in how vendors segment critical customer data.
Totally.
These backups held encrypted credentials for all the affected customers. Now, okay, no specific targeted attacks reported yet, but the potential.
The potential is massive, right? For really destructive follow-up attacks using those exact credentials. It's a permanent increase in risk.
It really is. And you have to ask, how does a major security vendor not isolate these backups better? If you're a customer, you're not just resetting user passwords.
No way.
You're thinking rotate infrastructure keys, API keys, service accounts, assuming the worst, basically.
And it's not just firewall vendors. It's your support platforms, too. Look at Discord.
Exactly. They had a big breach, but the failure point wasn't even Discord itself. It was a third-party system they used for customer service. Zendesk.
So when that third party got compromised, the attackers walked away with names, government IDs, even partial payment info, and support chats.
Sensitive stuff.
It just hammers home that point. Your security is only as strong as the weakest link in that whole supply chain.
And the really scary evolution of this, maybe, is this SaaS to SaaS worm idea. We saw that huge incident. What was it? Salesloft and Drift?
Oh, yeah. The one they called the biggest SaaS security incident of 2025. Impacted over 700 companies.
700. Just because those apps were integrated.
How did that even work, that lateral movement?
Yeah.
How does it slip past the usual defenses?
Well, it's kind of clever and worrying. They don't need to brute force their way in. They exploit the existing authorized connections, specifically OAuth tokens.
Ah, the permissions you grant when you link apps.
Precisely. You connect Salesloft to Drift, you grant permissions. So attackers compromise one end, steal the token, and then they use the legitimate app's powers to slide right into the other 700 connected companies.
So things like perimeter firewalls or endpoint security, they don't see it because it looks like normal approved activity between apps.
Exactly right. From the application layer view, it's just authorized data transfer. And we're seeing threat groups like UNC 6040 really lean into this type of strategy.
Awesome.
They're using things like voice phishing to trick employees into okaying malicious apps that then use legitimate tools like Salesforce Data Loader to just siphon data out.
Phishing.
Yeah.
That feels like the perfect segue. The human element is still, maybe, the biggest vulnerability overall. Let's dig into that new social engineering playbook.
Yeah, and it's not just anyone being targeted. We're seeing top executives get hit, like the CEO of Fly.io, Kurt Mackey.
Right, I read about that. Sophisticated phishing got him, not some technical flaw in Fly.io itself.
Exactly. And thankfully, their core systems were safe because they had strong phishing-resistant MFA in place. Good on them.
But his credentials were compromised. Pure social engineering, right?
Yeah.
Playing on trust. It shows even super secure companies are vulnerable if leadership gets tricked.
And you don't even need fancy phishing sometimes. Just basic user habits remain a huge issue. Look at DraftKings.
They had another credential stuffing incident. Wasn't that their second one since like 2022?
It was. And you might think, credential stuffing, isn't that kind of old news?
Yeah, why is it still causing such big problems?
Because people are they're still recycling passwords. This wasn't DraftKings getting hacked directly. It was attackers using lists of passwords stolen from other totally unrelated breaches elsewhere.
So they just try those leaked credentials on DraftKings automatically.
Bingo. And boom, they get access. Exposed data included PII, partial payment info. It's just a systemic issue. User password habits are a vulnerability organizations constantly have to fight.
And if you thought that was bold, get this. The Medusa ransomware gang. There was a report they actually offered a BBC reporter, was it 25% of the ransom?
25%. If the reporter hacked their own company device using a signal message, I mean...
Wait, they're offering a journalist kickback to commit a crime just for initial access.
It's next level perverse innovation, isn't it? Outsourcing the initial break-in.
It's an incentive model. They're not just looking for hackers anymore. They're actively trying to recruit insiders, maybe disgruntled employees, vendors, anyone with legitimate access.
The barrier to entry for the attacker just becomes the cost of the bounty. It fundamentally changes how they find that first foothold.
Wow. Okay, so speaking of vulnerabilities inside the organization, this next one is genuinely shocking to me. Gen AI platforms. The data suggests they are now the #1 channel for data exfiltration in the enterprise.
Yeah, Layer X research highlighted this, and the numbers are pretty stark. Think about it. Almost half, 45% of employees are using Gen AI tools.
Okay.
And get this, 2/3 of those users, 67%, are using personal accounts, unmanaged, outside of IT's view.
Oh, wow.
And they are pasting sensitive stuff, PII, company secrets, code, you name it, into these platforms at least 3 times a day.
3 times a day? But wait, don't most big companies have data loss prevention, DLP tools? Why aren't those stopping someone pasting, say, financial data into ChatGPT?
That's the critical blind spot right there. Traditional DLP, it was built for files. You know, it looks for patterns in documents being emailed, uploaded, saved to USB drives.
Right.
But it's completely blind to somebody just selecting text, hitting copy, and then pasting it into a web chat interface.
Yeah.
The data never really exists as a file on the corporate network in a way that DLP can easily scan.
So it just leaks out the side door.
Completely bypassing controls.
Yeah.
And security teams often have zero visibility that it's even happening. It's a massive gap.
Okay, so employees leaking data through AI.
Mm-hmm.
Let's switch gears to things leaking secrets at an even deeper level, the hardware itself.
Right. What's fascinating here is, well, how the attack surface keeps shifting, moving beyond just software down to the silicon.
Like this Phoenix attack.
Exactly. Phoenix is just, it's a stunning piece of work. It's a row hammer attack, but it works on DDR5 memory.
But wasn't DDR5 specifically designed to stop row hammer attacks? With target row refresh and all that?
Yeah. It was. That's what makes this so clever. The researchers basically reverse engineered how TRR works, its internal timings and mechanisms.
Okay.
And they found that even with the defenses, there are these incredibly precise timing windows where you can still hammer adjacent memory rows fast enough to cause bit flips. It's like finding a loophole in the memory's own refresh schedule.
So you can still manipulate the physical memory despite the built-in protections. And what's the payoff for the attacker?
You can steal cryptographic keys, like RSA keys, or escalate privileges on a Linux system, sometimes in just minutes. It proves even the latest hardware defenses aren't foolproof against these really sophisticated timing attacks.
And we see that kind of deep level back and forth in the Linux kernel space too, right? Devs add a defense, attackers find a way around it, like this flip switch rootkit technique.
Perfect example of that arms race. Linux kernel 6.9 added a new way to handle system calls, specifically to stop rootkits from hijacking the old syscall table.
Made it hard to redirect system functions. So how did flip switch bypass the new defense?
Well, instead of just changing the map, like redirecting the pointer in the table,
Wow.
they're essentially altering the road signs on the highway itself at the machine code level.
Whoa.
They directly patch the machine code instructions within the main system call handling function by 64 syscall, just modifying a few bytes, like a 4-byte offset, to divert the call to their malicious code before the kernel's checks. It's like microscopic surgery to bypass the security.
It's a constant game of whack-a-mole, just at the processor instruction level.
Absolutely.
Okay, shifting from that cutting-edge stuff back to basics for a second. Redis, a critical flaw. CVSS 10 out of 10. That's as bad as it gets.
It is. And the kicker, this vulnerability was 13 years old, a use after free flaw.
13 years. Ouch. And it allows remote code execution.
Yeah, if you're an authenticated user, you could craft a special Lewis script to trigger it and basically take over the Redis server.
So patching is obviously critical. Is there anything else needed?
Patching is #1, definitely. But it also highlights, the risk that comes with complexity. If your application doesn't actually need Lua scripting in Redis, disable it. Disable any commands you don't use. Keep it simple. Often the best defense.
Makes sense. On the defensive side, though, it's good to see some proactive moves, like what Signal is doing about the quantum computing threat.
Yes, their SPQR protocol, Sparse Post Quantum Ratchet. It's really smart forward thinking.
How does it work?
They've basically integrated a quantum-resistant algorithm, ML-Chem, into their existing secure messaging protocol, the triple ratchet.
So it protects conversations now against a theoretical future quantum computer that could break today's encryption.
Exactly. And it does this automatically, updating user sessions without anyone needing to do anything. It future-proofs the communication.
That's the kind of defense we need more of. Strong, automatic, invisible to the user.
Okay, before we wrap up and kind of synthesize the main takeaways, any interesting new tools folks should know about? Yeah, a couple worth mentioning for the technically inclined. If you're dealing with API security, check out AutoSwagger. It's open source.
What does it do?
It parses your OpenAPI or Swagger documentation, basically the map of your API, and automatically scans for authorization problems like broken access control or IDOR vulnerabilities.
Using the API's own documentation against potential flaws. Clever.
Yeah, turns the map the attackers might use into a defense tool. And then there's CodeMender from Google DeepMind.
An AI tool for fixing code.
Right. It's designed to automatically find vulnerabilities in existing code, generate patches, and even help prevent them. The interesting part is how it works.
Go on.
It doesn't just suggest a fix. It analyzes the context, generates the patch, and then uses tests to confirm the fix actually works and didn't break anything else, handles different languages, different vulnerability types, shows how AI really needs to be part of the defensive toolkit now.
Okay, so if we try to boil all this down, the big lesson seems pretty clear, doesn't it? The major threats aren't just hitting the front door anymore.
Not it.
They're coming through these interconnected systems, that sauce-to-sauce stuff, the OAuth exploits, and also through, well, us. Our human habits, like using convenient but uncontrolled tools, especially Gen AI.
It really forces a strategic shift in defense. We can't just guard the perimeter and scan files like we used to.
Right.
We have to get much better at monitoring how data is actually being used, where it's being pasted, how access is being authorized via things like OAuth, vishing, compromising trust. Those are the new frontiers.
And just to leave you with one final, maybe slightly thought about how broad the attack surface has become.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the Mikey Mouse attack?
The what now? Mikey Mouse.
Yeah, it's a side channel attack using a regular high-precision computer mouse, the kind lots of us have on our desks. Turns out it can act as an unintended microphone.
Wait, how? The mouse sensor?
Exactly. The super-sensitive optical sensor can apparently pick up minute vibrations on the desk surface caused by sound waves.
Including voices.
No way. Yeah. Researchers found they could take that normal mouse movement data, feed it into some machine learning models, and actually reconstruct surprisingly clear audio. Enough for decent speech recognition. And here's the kicker.
Let me guess. No malware needed.
No malware needed at all. Just analyzing the legitimate beta stream from the mouse.
Wow.
So if this whole conversation has been about unexpected access and hidden leaks, the question we'll leave you with is this. How many everyday devices around you, devices you trust, could potentially be leaking information in ways you haven't even considered without any software compromise? Maybe next time you're in a really sensitive meeting, glance down at the mouse on the desk.
Gives a whole new meaning to watch what you say. That's definitely something to think about.
Spoken Tech for your ears.